We had another question, I think it's directly to the right, around ethical or legal concerns.
I want to hear from other members on today's call, experiences, or I've never heard of it. How did you even find out about this? So any question is a valid question for this group.
I just saw this thing on 60 Minutes. I think it was a week ago or maybe 2 weeks ago. And professors at the collegiate level are very concerned about how do you determine whether or not this is your students are providing original work. I see this as being like a collaborator. I can ask questions and I can almost use it as a point counterpoint type of a resource. But to copy and paste. In the fire service, we kind of steal everybody's idea anyway and use it as our own. But yeah, I see it as just really as kind of a resource.
Yeah. Thanks, Chief Moore. Others?
Yeah, this is Jim Du Bois.
Hi, Jim.
Being an educator, one of the things that I've kind of thought about is what are the implications in education if we're going to have this artificial intelligence that can do the writing. In some ways, should we teach the students how to use the tool rather than create original content? So that may be kind of out there in a way of thinking, but it's kind of like, well, should you do math by, writing it with a pencil on paper, or should you use a calculator? So just a thought, something I've been thinking about with artificial intelligence. What are the implications in the educational realm, as well as strategy? How do you set strategy then for a student to be prepared for their future?
Yeah, I think Cameron and we were having this conversation yesterday of what if this goes to a place where we are seeking professional talent that knows how to exploit ChatGPT in the right ways to gain organizational efficiencies, regardless of the process, both within strategy and outside of strategy. And it's like, don't know. What could it ever go that place where we're seeking highly qualified talent that knows the ins and out and the intricacies of using AI technology such as ChatGPT?
And it's so interesting, Jeff. I'm going to zoom us down to our next question down here around what areas strike curiosity in the future. And someone added that thought around, will we be hiring prompt engineers in the future? So whoever added that, if you want to expand on that.
Yeah, who did add that? I would love to hear from you.
Because we were thinking the same thing.
That was me.
Hi, Hayden.
Yeah,
Hayden's our director of marketing.
Yeah. Hi. Yeah. So I added that because, in this particular context, ChatGPT, and I think AI in general, a lot of it depends on how well you can craft your input to get the output that you're seeking. And, this is not an original idea. Like, I did not come up with the idea of prompt engineer on my own. But it is interesting to think about, we've added this tool set to the mix, and it's probably going to make our jobs better, easier, faster, stronger. But are we going to need to have like dedicated people or dedicated training on how to ask the correct questions to get the answers that we seek?
Yeah, thanks, Hayden. Yeah.
I'll actually chime in with an example from academia. An academic librarian, a significant portion of their job responsibility is knowing how to craft search criteria for various databases. Google is really good at figuring out what you want because they invest billions of dollars in being good at figuring out what you want. But PubMed, which is what a lot of organizations use to find health data, they don't invest that much in their algorithm. So how you craft your search query is extremely important. So just a real life corollary to the question, would there be engineers? That's what academic librarians do right now for databases.
Yeah, thanks for that insight. let's hear from some others. I'm going through what folks dropped into chat.
Hey, Jeff, Jason. Hi, Jason. Jason, you just had an interesting point there, kind of scary one. Might want to verbalize.
I do that sometimes. Yeah, so for those that aren't reading the chat, so the idea is that if AI as we know it today is the product of being trained based on certain sets of content or tasks or something like that, that if we become more reliant on it, we start using its outputs as they are and publishing that content with minimal adaptation for our own uses, that inevitably those models will start to consume the content that they've already produced, which means those models will start to produce increasingly crappy content because it'll start feeding stuff that hasn't been vetted or added any sort of human creativity to. So I think that, and I mentioned that chat, that's kind of the dystopian view. We'll create really, really bad content. Think pop music now, that's all fed through machine learning anyway. So we'll start seeing really derivative work that's really not helpful for humanity. And then, super dystopian view is that we kind of lose the ability to create for ourselves. But on the flip side, I think humans are really prone to latching on to whatever this next big thing is. And ChatGPT really has come on the scene in full force pretty quickly, which means it's probably quickly going to fade out of public, kind of the public square. It'll still have its use cases, I'm sure, as will all AI, but I don't think we're going to get to that dystopian point. I think it's going to be, all right, cool, we played around with it, and then we'll get to these very specific use cases. All that to say, I think everybody else is right. Like it's another skill that we need to use and learn from and hire for and make sure we're using responsibly.
So I'm just trying to capture over here in our key takeaways, a few summaries of, given that we don't know the future for today, what can we use ChatGPT for as strategy leaders? So a few things: synthesizing data, that is a concrete thing that yes, you can use it, taken with a grain of salt, of course. Identifying market trends and forces. Peter wrote in chat about writing a business plan. First draft, of course, I'm sure will need to be reviewed by a human. But what else as far as practical applications for us in our jobs today that we could use ChatGPT for in terms of strategy? I think another one that Erica mentioned and that I showed in the example was writing things as XYZ. So I showed the example of writing something as a vision statement. Erica mentioned writing guiding principles in a snarky tone, but maybe getting some ideas for how to rewrite content, especially like Chief Moore mentioned, if you're having writer's block. That could be fun.
Just to chime in on that too, I really like what Jason was saying that, and I think Jeff put this in chat too, if we're relying on the data set that it has to regurgitate, or I'm already saying that, just to push out data to us, like market trends, that's one thing. But also what I kind of commented on earlier was that notion of when we're creating primary data through executive interviews or focus groups and all that, all that stuff that we all do all the time, asking it to synthesize primary data, I found kind of really useful actually. And I also actually asked it to give me quotes. So like it was, I kind of like it actually really worked well, but it was source data that I provided. So I just wanted to, I guess, clarify that point. So.
Kathy, you have perspectives on this. I see you're dropping things into chat. You want to come off mute and just kind of share your perspective and what you see might be the practical utility of using it today in our work?
Were you talking to me, Jeff? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was like, yeah,
But
Tappy.
I have a cold. My ears are so
Oh,
plugged,
I'm
I can't
sorry.
tell. That's all right. Yeah, I've been reading a lot about this, and even questions for my kids and stuff, because they're already talking about it, like ooh, it can write this for me. I don't have to write all these essays anymore. It won't have to, and I keep trying to take them back to, when I was younger, we were writing in cursive by 3rd grade, and you had to be able to do that in order to pass and things. And these days, their writing is atrocious. I mean, a lot of them don't even know how to hold a pencil correctly. So sometimes, well, most of the time, I think we take a good thing and we just abuse it to the point where it's hurting us instead of helping us. So
Mhm.
you will have companies out there that find a way to use it where it completely benefits, but people will overstep it and take it into a place where they're either going to make it where people won't use it anymore because it's become too dangerous, or they're going to abuse others with it. I mean, I love AI, don't get me wrong. I absolutely love AI, and I love the tools that can actually function that way to help us
Yeah.
and help us to do more with less. But I think before they put things like this out there, they really have to consider all these other pieces and how this should be a helper, and figure out things to put in place that people cannot break down to turn it into something bad. Because we do it with everything. We I mean, from food to everything else.
Yeah, and I
So-
think, our general kind of position right now, it's certainly my general position is use it, learn from it. It is a perspective. It's not going to produce original work, but it might surface something that we can help use to advance our own thinking. And Erica, you had a really good point, is sometimes it's not even about producing original perspectives. It's simply formatting content into a table. And that to me feels like a no-brainer.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But unfortunately, even though we're a big group for us, we're still a small group when it comes to the rest of the world.
Yeah.
And I don't know, just having some type of breaks or something that you can't pass go if you start to show signs of this, that, or the other. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But again, we're intelligent and we will learn how to break those down too.
Thanks, Taffy.
Yeah, sorry to be the Debbie Downer.
No, it's all right. No, this is.
I
why
do
we're
love the
talking about
AI
this.
though.
Taffy brings up a great point, and I think Matthew put a great example from Wally in our chat as well. But the
Yeah.
risk of getting lazy, if we let everything get automated for us, where's the human touch in that? And quite frankly, why do we all have jobs if we're not using our brains? So one of our key takeaways, I think, at least over it on strategy, is just a reminder that you cannot let tools like this let you get lazy or dull your skills, because those are still, obviously nothing will ever replace the human mind.
That's why I said too that it can't see the roses.
Mm-hmm.
So when people talk about drones or whatever, and letting those kind of find the targets and hit the targets and move on, and it frees up a lot of what other people are doing and what have you. But you have those weddings that are still going on, and they have those flowers that are tied to the back of those cars and so forth, and the drones are not going to see those roses. They don't see them, but a human would, and question, should I hit it or not? So AI doesn't have that human touch in it. It hopefully never will, but we can't allow it too much, because even plagiarism, if that hurts people, some more than others, but it doesn't see it that way. It sees it as, I got your answer for you.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I did want to explain that, because it's just sitting there as it can't see the roses. After I wrote it, it didn't make sense.
Makes sense now. Thank you, Taffy.
You're welcome.
Yeah.